I'm just about to sever a very large air layering from a Japanese maple. And although this is mid-September, I don't think it's too late to cut it off because I can put it in the greenhouse and make it come through. I'm standing beside some very large maples. These large Acer palmatum I planted when I came here in 1986, and they are 25, maybe even 30 feet high. There are 3 of them. And the trunks, in the last 25 years or so that they've grown, are now about 1 foot or even 18 inches in diameter. I'll show you the detail in a minute, but I have got a huge air layering here that I want to talk about. So let's have a close look at it. You will have gathered by now that I love maples, Japanese maples. So this was a tree I planted in 1986. There are 3 of them. I'll show you all of them. Look at the size of the trunk. This, I would say, is every bit 2 foot in diameter at the base. This has grown since 1986. So that's 33 years growing, and they were only about 1 inch in diameter when I planted it. So they are huge trees. And of course, with these huge trees, not only are they beautiful, I use it to hide my sheds, and it's just a nice foil for the house. And the other thing is that I leave these large branches to grow because I make air layerings from them. So I'm going to show you a really spectacular air layering. I was just about to sever it, but I said to myself, the YouTube followers would like to see it. So have a look at this. This tree has been the source of countless air layers. So all these branches, which you can see here, have been used for air layering. And now I'm going to show you this large air layering. This branch is every bit 20 foot long. I'm going to cut it off. I'd started this about 3 years ago, and in the first 2 years nothing happened. But last year it produced a very large root, but it calloused over here, so no root came from here, but there are definitely lots of roots on the other side. So let me see what happens when I cut it off. I've got one of my colleagues to start cutting it with a handsaw. We tried to use chainsaw, but I think it was a bit too dangerous. We are not using the chainsaw, so we'll proceed to cut it. And after I cut it off, I'm going to show you the aftercare. That means the pre-potting arrangements I have to make sure that this survives. So we'll keep cutting, and when it's cut off, I'll show you the next stage. We decided to use a silky saw rather than a chainsaw because chainsaws are very dangerous instruments. So where possible, we always prefer to use the silky saw, the hand saw. So we are never trigger happy. Look at it, it's just about to fall, and this is the moment of truth. We have cut the underside already, so it's about to collapse. Timber. Wow! Woo! This is very heavy. So let's pull it out. Have a look at it. This is the air layering. Have a look at this air layering. Jack, you need to help me pull it out. So this is the air layering, and I reckon it is about 6 to 8 inches in diameter. I haven't counted the rings. I will count the rings, and it is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 meters long. 5 meters long. And as I have pointed out in other YouTube videos, you cannot let this air layering stand as it is because the root system is so tiny that it will not be able to support all that foliage. So we are going to cut some of this off. So if I ask my colleague Jack, have you got the loppers there? We will cut some of the branches off so that it reduces the demands of the tree. There are quite a few little dead twigs that I'm removing. But what I will need to do is to remove the superstructure. We don't need all that superstructure. Also, because it's so big and heavy, we will not be able to sustain the tree. So a lot of this foliage we're taking off so that there are no excessive demands on the root system. So we cut some of this off. But we leave a little bit of foliage because the foliage will help to stimulate the formation of roots. So there's a careful balance to be struck. Jack, if you just hold this up for me. So this is one of the largest air layerings I have made so far. I know I do a lot of large hornbeam air layerings, but they are nothing compared to this. So as you can see what I'm trying to achieve, I'm trying to remove some of the very tall branches, because if I didn't do that, the tree might not be able to stand up. So I'm lightening the load, as it were. Look at the hundreds of cuttings, but it's too late in the year to do cuttings. Cuttings are best done in May and June. So whatever has been hacked off will be just composted. Stand it up, Jack, let's see what it looks like. I think it's still... Oh, it won't fit the greenhouse. So we'll have to cut some of those off. Alright, bring it down, we'll cut some of these off. Ooh. We may need the silky saw. The saw is there. Right. If I hold it, Jack, if you bring the silky saw, we'll cut some of this off. Shall I put it down?
That's fine.
Huh? And then this one, I think if you can cut, maybe cut from here.
So this.
And then this one, if you cut this from here. Not cut my face, buddy. Get out of the way. Cutting it shorter so that it fits the greenhouse. Let's stand it up and see how tall it is. Oh, I don't think it'll fit, will it?
It's a little bit big.
It's a bit big. So I think we are being too greedy. So I may have to cut it off from that thick branch there. There's a beautiful twin trunk there. All right, we'll cut it there. Okay, I now know what to do. Okay, we're going to cut with the lopper. If you can cut this one here. This green one. Below, there, that one. Yeah, where your hand is. Okay. Then stand it up again. Oh God. I think we'll have to, yeah, all right, put it down again. I think we're going to cut these from here across like that.
The whole lot.
Whole lot. Then it'll fit the greenhouse. So like that across all of them. I'm looking at this branch that we cut off and I counted the rings And I think there are like 25 rings. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, about 25 rings. So 25 years to grow that much. So when this trunk I said was grown in 1986 is 33 years, it's plausible. So this was an air layering I took off earlier, but this is the largest I've ever taken of this branch. I decided to take this branch off because it was sprawling too much into the garden. Maybe I dare to go to the other door, the far door.
Yeah.
Oh God, I don't think so. We have to cut that off. No, we need to use it to tie as well. Prop it up.
In there, won't it?
Yeah, prop it up a little more. I'm now carefully removing as much of that plastic as possible. I don't want to wrench it off in case I tear the root. So all that is root on one side that has formed. All beautiful roots from that air layering. So there's quite a lot of root. So I've just stood it in this large pot which has got bark and sphagnum peat in there, and this is that magic sphagnum moss, quite expensive to buy, and as I've mentioned many times before, we import this from New Zealand. So this moss comes packed in plastic bags so that it is always damp, and it's as a live plant material. So I would give this tree about 70% chance of survival. So by next spring, I will certainly know whether this tree has survived or not. But meanwhile, that root should sustain most of the tree. I'm now going to tie it to the structure of this greenhouse so that it doesn't fall over. That's very important. And we will just wait and see what happens. Thank you.